Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well, and today we're doing a bit more of a pep talk video where I'm just going to tell you guys my thoughts on the current stock market, and I especially like doing these when we're in a bit of a downtrending market, which is definitely what we've had over the last few months. And today I'm going to be talking about probably the $1,000,000 question out there right now, which is the market flipping? Now obviously no one knows when the market is exactly going to rotate and go back up, but I'm going to try to do my best guess on what I think could happen. But as always, the stock market is unpredictable and no one can time the market, but I'll give my thoughts on the current situation and if we could potentially see a flip and what are the possible chances, I guess, really. So we're going to go through this. Now obviously I'm sure most of you guys will know we've had pretty much 5 months of pain right now. 5 months of where the stock market has gone down, and even before the 5 months of pain where pretty much everything has now joined in and everything is going down. Before that, we had small caps growth stocks that have basically had 12 months of pain. So for a certain few stocks, if you've had them stocks, you've probably seen 12 months of them stocks doing nothing, going down in value. But especially in the last kind of 5 months, that has been now started to spread to the broader market. For most of 2021, a lot of people that have had the stock market portfolios doing okay is like, oh, what you're on about? It's just growth stocks that are going down, small market caps that are going down. Everything else is fine, big tech's fine. The indexes are holding up. It's just them stocks. You shouldn't be investing in them stocks. They're all terrible and all that. And then eventually it did sneak into the rest of the market. And now everyone that's kind of had their eyes covered and fingers in their ears are looking at us now going, okay, this is a bit brutal. And in the last 5 months, it's been 5 months of pain in the stock market. And this has been a really interesting time for me. Personally, for me, I don't really mind the stock market going up, because when the stock market goes up, obviously that's when I can make money and when I generally kind of, sell a lot of things off. But when the stock market goes down, I don't mind it either, because when the stock market goes down, those are when the buying opportunities are created and you get stocks at really good value. You buy them stocks, and then eventually, whenever that will be, the stock market rotates and the stock market starts going back up in value, whether it be 6 months, 1 year, 2 year. When it does come back into favour, all them stocks that you were buying on the cheap through a lot of the red days, they go back up in value and you make money, and you kind of repeat the process going on from there. You can't really make money in the stock market without having the red days, and same with the green days. You need the green days to go up to kind of make you sell your stocks at profit. That's just kind of really the cycle. So for me, like when the stock market goes through cycles of upward trends, I don't mind, because that's when I'm going to make money. And when the stock market goes through its downward trends, I don't mind, because that's when I'm buying my next set of stocks really to kind of make money on the next up cycle going forward. And what has been really surprising to me is, this is kind of the first time for a long time that we've had a long period of time where we've had a big patch of pain really. We had the March 2020 situation, but literally that was like, a little bit of February, maybe all of March, maybe a little bit of April. But, they were talking about, 30, 40 days of the stock market being, don't get me wrong, it was awful. Stocks were going down 10% a day. They were tanking a huge amount and it wasn't great. But within 1 month, 40 days, that was over, and the stocks went back on a great run, and they went, up to crazy valuations again. But this here is the first time for a long time where we've actually had a period of time where it's a big patch of time with these stocks doing nothing, with stocks going downtrend. And this is probably the first time, I would say, for probably 4 years that we've actually had a period of time in the stock market where stocks have just gone, and just, flatlined, gone down, not been going up. And it's the first actual test really of who's actually invested into companies, who knows their companies, who has a game plan of where they're going to be in the long term, and goes, oh, I know where that company is going to be in the long term, and in the long term that will be okay, and I'll make loads of money on it. I'm invested for the long term. And who's been buying ticker symbols, who's been buying stock charts and going, oh, that's on a real good uptrend, I'll just keep buying that one. You're starting to realise who has actually had game plans with a lot of these investments. And the people who haven't had game plans have now got to this situation where they're like, okay, this has gone down 50% and I don't know what to do here, because I don't know if I like the company. I don't really even know what it does. Am I going to make money on this? I'm just going to sell out of it. You're seeing a lot of people that are now panic selling because they don't know what they own. And you're seeing people that through all of this have gone, this is why I really like this stock. This is what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to do this amount of revenue. They're going to get to this amount of profit in this many years' time. And when that happens, I think it'll be roughly valued somewhere around here, and hopefully it all works out for me. And you're actually seeing who has the game plan now, and that's what's really being caught out. So for me, what has also been very interesting in the stock market is that we are going down in the stock market, but you are starting to see a lot of these weak hands, the people that are so-called long-term investors, start to get caught out here. And now, because we were actually having the first kind of downtrending market for a long period of time, there's a lot of negativity out there. So many people have been used to a stock market that's gone up and up and up, that people are starting to go really negative just because we've gone down, 15% on the NASDAQ, or 12% on the S&P 500, or whatever it is. There's so much more negativity out there, and the negativity is actually really high right now. There's so much negativity out there, and because the negativity is so high up there, you're seeing people now, these people who said that, long-term investors, people who said, if we go back 12 months, people will go, oh, you know what, if that stock ever had a 50% dip, of course I'd buy the dip. I'd load the boat, of course I'd buy that dip. And now we're starting to get to the time where it's happening, and these stocks are losing like half the value. And you're seeing those people who said, oh yeah, of course I'd buy the dip on that, selling at 50% down. Not buying, not holding, selling at 50% down. And this is how negative it is right now. There's people out there that are now trying to time the market. People are going, oh yeah, we're down so much now, and oh, I think it actually will go down even lower, so I'm actually going to, actually sell out and try buy lower. There's people going, oh, you know what, it's gone down 16%, I don't want to buy now, I think it'll go lower, so I'm going to hold off and keep my cash for when we go lower. There's that sort of mindset that we're having now, that there's so much negativity out there. That's how people's mindset have changed from 12 months ago to right now. It's a completely U-turn from where we were. And like I said, there's people now trying to time the market, people that are going to think because it's going to go lower. That's how negative that we are. And what we have now is the bears are in control. What we had about 12 months ago is that we could have companies that are at crazy valuations, and with them crazy valuations, they could bring earnings reports out, and the earnings reports weren't that good, but people would still buy it up, and the stock would go up after hours, and it would carry on going on a run, even though the earnings weren't even that good. But now what we have is we have the bears in control. So we have companies that can report earnings, for example. I talked about this on Corsair yesterday. Corsair brings earnings out. The valuation is very, very cheap on that one. The earnings are good. The stock starts ticking upwards. People go, that's quite good earnings. But because the bears are here, okay, let's dump the shares off. Let's keep it down low. And then everyone's kind of spooked by that. Now, what we had, which I talked about in the Corsair video yesterday, is that actually people came into the stock. We have that many weak hands flushed out of it now, that people are looking at that, and they are kind of looking at that drop and going, but that was good earnings, and people are kind of clocking that I could buy this here. And that's how much so many people being flushed out of that stock, is that normally if you saw that dumping share price, people had gone, okay, I'm not buying that, or in fact, oh, it's down, I'm going to sell that as well. But now that we've kind of got to a lot of these stocks right now, because there's so much negativity out there, the only people that are kind of left in a lot of these stocks now are kind of like core holders. People that are kind of like, yeah, whatever happens, if this goes down another 20%, I'm still holding for the next 5 years. And that's the only little difference that there is there. The negativity is still very high. There's a lot of bears in control of the stock market, but what you were starting to see, in my opinion now, is you're starting to see a lot of core holders in that stocks, or stock market, especially in the small caps, that are going, I'm going to hold whatever, and we're just going to see how it does in the next few years. And that's same for me. All of my investments, even though a lot of the stocks at the moment that I'm invested in have lost a lot of share price, I'm not looking at any of these stocks going, I'm not holding them anymore. Everything that I have is the long-term game plan of seeing where it goes in long term and if it does work out. And the amount of negativity in bears that have control on the stock market was very clear yesterday. As a content creator, I have like a big advantage. I get to see a lot of the feelings around the stock market, and every month so far, especially to the point yesterday, there's been more and more negativity. Even in like the forums, in the YouTube comments, I would say that, a few months ago, 10% of the comments might be negative about the stock market, now 20% are negative. Yesterday when I did the Corsair video, 75% of the comments were negative. 75% of the comments were negative on the Corsair video. And that says where we're at. That's how negative we are. 75% of the comments were negative on the stock market in the Corsair video yesterday. And that's how negative that we're at the moment. And I think that really stood out to me yesterday, how negative we've gone now, where we're at that sort of point. So, for me, it doesn't really bother me, because like I said, I know where my long-term visions are. I know where these companies will go in the long term. I've been in the stock market long enough to go through a lot of these cycles. And generally, I know a lot of the investments I make will be very good investments. I know that I've got that kind of confidence in a lot of my stocks, that I know that probably 90% of the stocks that I own at the moment will make me good amounts of money. I know that will happen. So as long as you got that confidence, you're okay. But it is, you know, if you were a new investor that hasn't really been through one of these cycles, it has been a very testing time. So, you know, if you do make it through the other side, you know, fair play to you. You're probably going to go on to go through a lot of other cycles, and it will kind of give you that confidence going forward. Now, I guess the $1 million question, which is the market flipping? Well, honestly, I don't know. You know, I'm not going to come out here and say this is it, this is the bottom. But what I will say is that what is out there at the moment is very favourable to the stock market flipping, and I've been very clear on that on the last kind of few weeks. I think big tech is a little bit different. I think they could flatline for a little bit and let them valuations still catch up a bit more. Maybe they could downtrend, but I don't know about that. But maybe a bit more of a flat line for sure. But with the small caps, with the growth stocks, I generally do think we could be near the bottom. Like I said, I'm not saying that's the time of the market or anything like that, but just because of everything that's lining up, it's very hard to see how much lower we can go. The big thing is lowest valuations. You know, we're not talking about, you know, before we had stocks at really high valuations and we're like, okay, these need to come back down to their fair value. And they started coming down to fair value, but what they've done now is they've gone all the way down to the lowest valuations that a lot of them have ever been at. And when you're at the lowest valuations that you've ever been at some point, whenever that happens, they have to move in the right direction. They cannot keep going lower and lower to the lowest valuations they've ever been, especially when out there, you know, it's maybe a little bit choppy in the economy right now, but we're nowhere near like a recession or anything like that. If it was a recession, it could be totally different, but we're not near a recession at all. So when you look at that sort of point of view, is that when we're down here at the bottom, at some point, at the lowest valuations ever, people will start coming in and buying that up. And when they are at the lowest valuations ever, what will happen is that before you know it, a lot of these stocks will jump 20-30% in value very, very quickly. And what is interesting is at the moment, since the 27th of January, it is starting to happen. If you look down here, we have not made, for a lot of stocks, we've not made new lows since the 27th of January. So we are kind of going on to 2-3 weeks now of stocks actually slowly ticking up, especially the small market caps. And what you have with a lot of those small market caps, a lot of those growth stocks, is they are ticking up 30%. You know, I was talking on the Discord last night about DraftKings, and you know, that's another thing, is like I'm even seeing the negativity out there as well, is like on the Discord at the moment, which is normally a place that I always looked at and thought that was you know, a place of really, you know, hardcore investors, and see like you know, how much, you know, negativity there was out there as well on there. It kind of sums up where we are in the stock market. And I was saying on the Discord last night, which same again was received with a little bit more negativity, is that, you know, DraftKings is now I think 34% off its 52-week lows, which, you know, like I said earlier, you know, when we do hit these bottoms in these stocks, before you know it, these stocks will jump up, you know, 30-40% in value when they do hit bottoms. And that is what is happening a little bit at the moment. They are starting to jump up them a little bit more off them lows. Now, like I said, we don't know, you know, something might happen. They might retest these lows, they might go lower. But when these odds are all low, you know, lining up together, whether at the lowest valuations they've ever been at, how much they sold off, and you've got them kind of core holding now, there's only at some point where you hit, you know, a lot of these stocks aren't going to go down to $0. There's some point where you do get to the lowest valuations where you see that bounce up. And we are kind of seeing that. I don't want to call it the bottom, but we are kind of seeing a few of them things start to happen. And for me, it's going to be sooner rather than later that we are going to have this kind of rebound, I guess, especially with a lot of the stocks that are being hit absolutely huge. You know, the stocks that have lost half the value in a couple of months for not really any reason. You know, there's not a recession out there. Sure, there's a few little concerns around the economy, but a lot of these concerns can be pretty much corrected within a 12-month period. Does it deserve to lose half the values and go down to the lowest valuations ever been at? I don't think so. So, you know, that's where I'm at with the stock market at the moment. For me personally, that's where I'm at mindset-wise on buying the dips and having the confidence to buy the dips, and also where I see like potentially the market flip happening. And like I said, you know, everything's in line for it to happen, and these are a few signs that it is happening, but we'll see what happens going forward. Obviously you can't time the market, and we'll see what happens, but that's my thoughts at the moment. So hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you do, subscribe, and I'll see you next video.